We weren't planning on a podcast today. It is Sunday. We're recording this around 5:30. But Rube, there was news today.
There was news today. It was not shocking. Interesting news. The Eagles trade with the Vikings to get Sam Howell, former Washington commander, and a young quarterback who hasn't had a lot of success, but I think has a little bit of upside. And he's certainly better than what the Eagles had at third string with McCord and DTR. And for now, they would have been fighting for that second string job, I guess, which is crazy. But got to have a quarterback. You can't go into a opening day game with just one quarterback. So they have two now.
This is the Eagle Eye Podcast, by the way, brought to you by Nissan. Ruben Frank and Dave Zangaro. Rube, I was at the Charlotte airport when we got word that the Eagles were trading for Sam Howell. Here are the terms of the trade. The Eagles get Sam Howell from the Vikings and a 2026 sixth-round pick. The Vikings get a 2026 fifth-round pick and a 2027 seventh-rounder. I find it very funny that the Eagles expect to have 13 picks next year, and they refuse to give away picks. Like all these trades they make, they're getting some kind of a day 3 pick back.
Yeah, I think Howie's trying to set a record for most picks in his back pocket. But the flip side that we can get into a little later is that to make the Vikings ended up signing Carson Wentz after trading Sam Howell, which they were teammates in Washington for a year. But it's all very full circle. I think Jahan Dotson will be an interesting guy to talk to since he's played with both of them, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, interesting day. Look, he's not the best quarterback in the world, but he's not the worst. He played really well both games against the Eagles. That one year he was Washington's starter, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. One of only 6 quarterbacks in history to complete 70% of his passes in 2 games against the Eagles in the same season. I was trying to find something something positive there, but look, Howie, he played well against the Eagles. Howie noticed, and if all goes well, he'll never have to take a snap for the Eagles. But if he does, you'd certainly rather have him than Kyle McCord or DTR.
Yeah, so let's get into the why of this trade. And that's the first element of it is you had Kyle McCord and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who actually, people won't believe this because they watched them in the games, but they did some decent things at practice. In fact, I thought this last week, McCord was maybe the best we've seen him working with the second team. But they didn't play very well in the games. Kyle McCord's game on Friday, it was just bad. And, he's a young quarterback, and sometimes it takes a little while. Maybe he'll never get there, but the Eagles don't have the option to wait right now because of the Tanner McKee injury. And the Eagles have called it a finger injury. According to Ian Rappaport, it is a fractured thumb on his throwing hand. It doesn't seem like it's a real serious injury, nothing that needs for him to go on IR, but his week 1 availability is in question.
Yeah, and Kyle McCord was drafted to be a developmental guy, and you can't rush that. And there's a reason he was a late round pick. And I think we all kind of were so used to. I mean, Tanner McKee was also a late round pick, and he was fantastic in his rookie training camp, and since it's not going to happen with everybody. So McCord just. You're right. We did see some flashes where you're thinking, all right, maybe. And actually, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I think 2 weeks ago, had a pretty good week where he started, maybe has he turned the corner? I even talked to him about that. He said he felt like he had kind of things that just started to click for him. But yeah, if you're not getting it done in the games and you look that bad in the games, you're not going to be the number 2, certainly in the opener against the Cowboys. So here's Sam Howell.
Yeah, and speaking of Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he was waived by the Eagles on Sunday, so he won't be on the team. We kind of knew that already, but that was the other shoe to drop on Sunday. So let's get into Sam Howell a little bit. Eagles fans, like you mentioned, will know him because he played for the Commanders, and like you mentioned, he played well against the Eagles. He's 25. He was a 5th-round pick in 2022 out of North Carolina. He had the start for an entire season with the Commanders in 2023. Started all 17 games, went 4-13, completed 63.4% of his passes, for over 3,900 yards, but 21 touchdowns to 21 interceptions.
Yeah, became the only quarterback in history to throw 21 interceptions and get sacked 65 times in the same season. And look, he didn't have a lot around him. I think he led the NFL in pass attempts that year.
He did 612.
That's a lot of pass attempts. Needless to say, they didn't have an O-line. They had some weapons, but he was overmatched. I think it was kind of a impossible situation for Sam Howell that year. It was not a good team, didn't have a ton around him. But he survived it, goes to Seattle and then gets traded to the Vikings. Didn't play at all, barely at all, a couple passes for the Seahawks last year, backing up Geno Smith, who played the whole season. And here he is. So with his fourth team in 4 years or in 3 years, actually. You never know in this league. It's a funny deal. You never know who's going to show up at your facility the next day. Howie had to do something, and there's just not a lot of options. They didn't have to give up much. He didn't want to give up much. It's a backup. It's going to be the 3 for most of the year. You're not going to give up a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick for your 3rd stringer. But again, you had to do something. So I think he handled it well. He got a makeshift QB, and we'll see what happens.
Do you think the Eagles make this trade if Tanner McKee isn't injured? Because I think it's possible.
I kind of do. Makeshift's not the word I was looking for. What is it, Dave? I don't know, interim quarterback. But I think they do make the trade without the injury. If you feel like McCord or DTR is going to be like, if they're trending the right way, they're making progress, they're getting better, and you're thinking, maybe by week 4 or 6, they'll be a viable 3, then maybe you don't. But they were going backwards. I mean, they both regressed. They both, like you said, had periods where they did some good things, but then just went backwards. So I think if you'd seen progress from either one, McCord is probably the only one who he had any chance to see progress from. But consistent progress where you start thinking, all right, he's going to be okay, then maybe you don't make the trade. But I don't think anybody sensed that. And gosh, I think about Clayton Thorson, and I guess McCord was better than him nominally. But
no, I think he was better than him, like clearly.
Yeah. I guess we forget how bad Thorson was, but yeah, it's a move Howie had to make.
Yeah, and you're right about the regression. That's a good point, because in the spring, Kyle McCord looked really good before the pads went on and before you got the training camp. So I think we're all pretty excited about him as a developmental prospect, and we thought, man, he's just going to run away with this number 3 job. And then training camp came, and he hit a bit of a rookie wall in camp. And then Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the first couple of weeks at camp, we're like, this guy looks pretty good. Like, he's clearly ahead of Kyle McCord. And we're thinking at that time, well, the Eagles are going to have a really tough decision to make. If DTR clearly outplays the rookie you just drafted, what do you do then? Ultimately, neither of them are going to be on this team, most likely.
Yeah. And we were discussing whether you could get Kyle McCord through waivers. I think you have to worry about that now. I assume they'll bring him back on the practice squad, and he's a draft pick. You want at least a chance to develop him. They believe in their quarterback's coach and passing game coordinator and offensive coordinator and head coach, who are all offensive guys, and their ability to develop a guy. Got a long way to go, but you want him in the building.
Yeah, I saw enough things from him to think that he's worth developing. Like you brought up Thorson, and not to rag. I mean, I feel bad just ragging on Clayton Thorson, but when we watched him, there just wasn't there, right? It was just clear that there was nothing there. You weren't going to develop it. He wasn't going to become an NFL caliber quarterback. I don't know Kyle McCord one way or the other, but I did at least see some traits that you think, okay, like if he has a year or 2 behind the scenes working at it, maybe you can develop him into a backup. I think that's like the ultimate goal, right? I don't think he's ever going to be a starter in the NFL, but could he develop into a backup? I think that's one of the potential outcomes?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I would never want to put a ceiling on a young guy like that, but it is hard to imagine him ever being a starter in the league. We did see some things, even in the game, like, I mean, gosh, what was he, 15 for 35? So there weren't a ton of good things, but there were few, enough to make you think, keep him around, try to develop him.
After the game, I interviewed him, and you feel like you feel bad. This is a young kid. His dreams to play in the NFL, and he gets in the game, and he's just not very good. But I had to ask him about the interception. It's like, what do you even? I mean, what do you even ask? It was just a horrific decision, and he admitted it.
You asked it well, though. You asked it
Thank you.
Diplomatically.
Yeah, I mean, look, you feel bad, like the human element of it. This is a young kid finally in the NFL playing for his hometown team, and it's just the summer didn't go the way he wanted it to.
Yeah, that's fair to say. We'll see what happens from here. Here's a question for you. I mean, the Eagles open the season in a week from Thursday. Sam Howell, new offense. I think he's a pretty smart guy. He's always been seen that way, but he's got a lot to learn. I'm sure he's in the books now, just in case he's got to be number 2 against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, it is a concern for sure because we don't know yet about McKee. But yeah, it's definitely in question. When we saw him the other day, he wouldn't even his hand was in the pocket of his hoodie. He wouldn't take it out. So we haven't even seen like what he's got, if it's a big wrap or some kind of a cast. We don't know. But yeah, it's a legitimate concern because if Sam Howell has to play in week 1, I mean, they can do it, but they're going to have to water down that offense a ton.
Yeah, the good thing is he wasn't on crutches, so he was getting around well.
That'd be a heck of a thumb injury.
Yeah, I assume we'll have a chance to talk to him at some point during the week, I assume, and kind of get a sense of where he is with the offense. Look, most likely he won't have to play. Most likely Jalen's going to be fine, but it's all a concern. And look, the way Jalen plays the game, he gets banged up. He misses a couple games most years, and nobody wants him to change the way he plays and play safe and protect himself. But just be smart about it. But look, quarterbacks get hurt, and if something does happen, you'd much rather have Sam Howell out there than Kyle McCord.
I actually like a Sam Howell, and maybe I'm seeing it through rose-tinted glasses because he played well, happened to play well in the games against the Eagles. But I think there's something there. I think, like, honestly, there's probably worse backups in the league, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
And he's the number 3 now. And for people we're going to ahead of ourselves a little bit, but he's under contract just for this season. So this is not, at least right now, it's not a move where you're thinking he can be the backup next year and you trade Tanner McKee next offseason. It could happen. Maybe you re-sign Sam Howell if he looks good and he picks up the offense well, but just under contract for this season.
Your rookie 4-year deal they signed with Washington. But yeah, I think there's something there. He had 6 games that year in 23 when he started all 17 games with a passer rating of 98 or higher. So he had some games, like the one Eagles game, he threw like 50, you probably have it in front of you, 51 passes, 56 passes or some crazy number because they're always behind. So he's always chucking it. And threw 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Reed Blankenship picked him off. But, when you see a guy throw a high volume of passes and still kind of keep up the efficiency, I think that says a lot about a quarterback.
52
passes. What was he, 35 for?
He was 39 for 52, 75%. 397 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick.
I wonder if that's the most completions ever against the Eagles in a game.
I don't know.
It's got to be
a loss too, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. You do a lot worse. I'm surprised it didn't cost a little more.
Well, the Vikings clearly told you what they thought of him because they traded him and then they signed Carson Wentz. Who, by the way, like we don't have to get into Carson too much, but I was starting to wonder if it was over for him.
Yeah. I was too. I kind of thought it was. Sam Howell's 39 completions are the second most ever in a game against the Eagles. Dak had 42. That was the overtime game down in Dallas that the Cowboys won in 18. The Eagles won in overtime in 17 on Jordan Matthews touchdown. So most completions ever against the Eagles in a regulation game. I thought it was over for Carson, and I thought it was fair to wonder if his heart was still in it. Man, he's bounced around 6 teams in 6 years. Since he got hurt in LA in 17, like 29 and 35. I mean, he's just, that's a long period of time too. He's just never had that one stretch with the Colts. He had one like really good, like 7 or 8 game stretch that year he was with the Colts. And then it all went bad at the end, and, they moved on. But it's interesting to me that Donovan and Carson, who were both the second pick in the draft, have both played for the Eagles, Washington, and the Vikings.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know why that. Carson's the first quarterback picked in the top 5 picks to play for 6 different teams since Kerry Collins, who was drafted in 95. I've always liked Carson. If he's healthy, and who knows after everything he's been through, physically where he is, and he's not the youngest guy anymore. What is he, 32? Drafted 9 years ago. 32, 33. So
he's 32.
32. I still think of him as a kid. One of the weirder careers. Him and Nick Foles both very strange journeys. But yeah, good luck to Carson. Backing up J.J. McCarthy, who's never played in the league. I'll bet we see Carson at some point. I think he'll play.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, I have no idea.
Got a better chance to play than Sam Howell. Well,
yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. But it's all kind of related. It's interesting to me. I thought Carson was done. Yeah, I thought he's got a bunch of kids, hasn't played much the last few years. He was never a guy that seemed to have, and maybe this is not fair, but he's just very low-key, chill guy. I wondered if he had that passion still for football. I don't think he would do this if he didn't.
Yeah, I have no way to know. But
he doesn't need the money, certainly. Probably made $100 million. Well, I'm going to look up how much he's made, Dave.
I figured you were going to do that.
What else would I do?
Podcast has become us just looking up things. This is podcasting 101.
There's worse things to do on a podcast. I'm just looking up how much Carson has made in his career with various teams. But the wireless is terrible in here, so.
All right. Well, we'll save that. That's a good teaser for the next pod. We'll lead the next pod. It'll be cut down day, and we'll lead with Carson Wentz's career earnings.
I'm still confident I'm going to get it before we're done. Here it is. Carson Wentz. Click on career earning. Oh, I got to click on something else. He's made $132,754,340. $79 million of that from the Eagles, $21 million from the Colts, $28 million from Washington, $770,000 from the Rams, and $3.3 million from the Chiefs. That's Spotrac data. I'm gonna crank it up again.
All right, let's get out of this pod while we have the chance. The other bit of news: Lewis Seen waived injured. He wasn't going to make the team. He had a nice pick in that preseason game, but got hurt during the game too.
Yeah, I mean he was hurt all of camp. He's really been hurt since he had that compound fracture his rookie year, playing for the Vikings. in London. Good luck, Lewis.
All right. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button and subscribe there as well. A busy week coming up in the NFL and for the Eagles. Cut down day is Tuesday, 4 p.m. deadline. So we'll be back at some point pretty soon with another podcast. For Ruben Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.